Hello and welcome to Quarantine Jeopardy. I'm your host, Granny, and we've all given up. Today, our two contestants are Little T and Big B. The categories for today are based on HPV versus the immune system. Little T, would you like to start us off?
I'll take HPV Basics for 100, please.
How is HPV spread?
HPV is spread through sexual contact. The virus is primarily spread through skin-to-skin contact, but can also enter the body through cuts, small abrasions, or small openings in the skin.
That is correct. That will be 100 points to Big B. Big B, would you like to pick the next category?
Let's go HPV Basics 200.
All right, here we go. What kind of cancer does HPV cause?
HPV causes cervical cancer in females through the interaction between the viral E6 and E7 proteins and the PRB and P53 cellular proteins. Other cancers caused by HPV are a variety of genitalia cancers and head and neck cancer. The type of cancer caused by the virus depends on the specific strains, with some strains simply just causing common warts.
That is correct. You guys are on fire. All right, Little T, pick the next category.
I'll take HPV Basics 300.
How effective is the vaccine?
The vaccine is over 99% effective.
That is correct. Big B, pick our category.
I'd like innate immune system 100.
All right. What in NK cells is increased when exposed to HPV virus-like particles?
The cytotoxic activity and the cytokine IFN gamma production is increased when exposed to HPV virus-like particles.
That is correct, Little T. All right, pick our next category.
Let's do innate immune system for 300.
How does HPV cause persistent infection?
Evasion of the innate immune system. The innate immune system is the first responder for all infections. It is present to fight diseases firsthand, but doesn't have a memory. This is a static response for all organisms.
That is correct. Big B, pick our next category.
Let's go innate 200.
All right, innate immune system for 200. What pro-inflammatory cytokines are released?
The pro-inflammatory cytokines that are released are interleukin 12, gamma interferon, and tumor necrosis factor alpha. So IL-2 is essential in the activation and attraction of natural killer cells to the site of infection and also causes and increases a macrophage response. IFN gamma is a type 2 interferon, which further activates macrophages through STAT1 to increase the macrophage's phagocytic and killing ability. And TFN alpha impacts the epithelium and increases the permeability of blood vessels. It also activates the expression of adhesion molecules by blood vessel walls.
That is correct. Pick your next item on the board.
Let's go HPV Basics for 400.
All right. Who should get the vaccine?
Male and female preteens should be vaccinated. The CDC recommends between the ages of 11 and 12 and has recommended that vaccination occur at a younger age because of the better response. Effective vaccination requires 2 doses under the age of 15, but if you happen to get it between 15 and 26, 3 doses would be more effective.
That is correct.
Let's do innate immune system 500.
All right. How does HPV downregulate the innate immune response?
HPV downregulates the immune response through modulation of PRR response and inhibition of antiviral molecules and inhibition of the transcription genes associated with the immune response. The PRR, or pattern recognition receptor, recognizes pathogen-associated molecule patterns, or PAMPs, that are present on non-self cells. This recognition causes an activation of the immune system. By modulating PRR responses, the immune system reaction is inhibited.
That is correct. Pick the next item on the board.
Let's go B-cell immunity 300.
All right. What does the vaccine increase?
The vaccine increases memory B cells. This is an effective way to have a lifelong vaccine. Some B cells continuously circulate throughout the body and can be reactivated in the lymph node if infection reoccurs. This leads to a higher affinity than the first encounter and a much faster and stronger secondary immune response.
That is correct.
Let's go B-cell immunology 400.
How do the antibodies from the vaccine compare to the natural occurring infection?
They have better neutralizing powers from the vaccine than the natural occurring infection. In naturally occurring infections, antibodies have poor neutralizing abilities and are able to neutralize less than 10% of HPV. The vaccination antibodies produced have strong neutralizing powers and have increased memory B cell frequency up to 26 times.
That is correct. Choose your next category.
Let's do vaccine basics for 100.
All right. What is it made of?
It is made of virus-like particles, or VLPs. It's made from a protein that lives on the surface of the virus and the surface protein from 9 different HPV viruses.
That is correct. Pick the next one on the board.
HPV Basics 500.
All right. What are symptoms of the disease?
Symptoms are various kinds of warts: genital warts, common warts, plantar warts, flat warts, any kind of wart. But depending on the strain of HPV and other confounding factors, cancer may also occur.
That is correct. You're on a roll. Choose your next category.
Let's do T-cell immunology 200.
Okay. Other immune response elicited by HPV.
So another immune response listed by HPV is the CD4 positive Th1 response. Th1 is a CD4 T cell subtype that fights intracellular infections, which is good for this vaccine and virus because it is a virus inside the cell, by releasing IFN gamma to activate macrophages to kill microbes.
That is correct. Choose your next category.
Let's do vaccine basics for 500.
All right. What are the steps of capsid formation?
So capsid formation is what's used in the vaccine. So the steps are that L1 protein is grown and produced in yeast cells. After that has been grown, the L1 proteins begin to self-assemble about 5 and then into 1 pentamer. And then after that, self-assembly into a cluster of about 72 pentamers. From this self-assembly, a non-infectious HPV virus-like particle is created. This is essentially an empty viral capsid that resembles the real thing. The body is then tricked into creating immunity for the virus.
That is correct. All right, choose your next category.
Let's do innate immune system 400.
Okay. What do the HPV E6 and E7 proteins interfere with?
They interfere with the binding of IL-18 to its receptor and reduce its production of INF gamma and NK cells. IL-18 is a pro-inflammatory cytokine that can modulate both innate and adaptive immunity. HPV E6 and E7 proteins prevent the cell from causing inflammation, which is a signal for the activation of the immune system and recruitment of immune cells. Thus, HPV can prevent the body from mounting an immune response.
That is correct. Pick from the board.
Let's do B-cell immunology 200.
All right. What does the vaccine improve?
The vaccine improves the ability of antibodies to block infection of the target cell. One major function of antibodies when fighting against pathogens is neutralization and blocking viral entry into healthy cells. They prevent binding of HPV to cell surface receptors and thus their ability to enter the cell.
That is correct. Pick from the board.
Let's do T-cell immunology 100, please.
All right. Immune response elicited by HPV.
It elicits CD8 positive cytotoxic lymphocytes, which are recognized and bind infected cells. They induce apoptosis in cells, thus directly killing it. This is done through cytokine secretion.
That is correct. Keep it going.
T-cell immunology 400.
All right. What happens to the proportion of CD8 plus lymphocytes that express ILT2 after immunization?
After immunization, the CD8 lymphocytes that express this ILT2 decrease. So ILT2 is a regulatory receptor expressed by CD8 positive T cells. It participates in the pathogenesis of viral infections and helps modulate lytic activity of T cells. HPV immunization has been associated with significant changes in the expression and function of ILT2 that have a protective effect of HPV vaccines. So this decrease in the CD8 cells helps the body further fight HPV.
That is correct. Keep picking from the board.
Let's do vaccine basics for 200.
All right. What are virus-like particles?
Virus-like particles are empty viral shells derived from the expression of viral proteins without the genetic information. So these VLPs, or virus-like particles, are derived from envelope proteins which are proteins that are together with other structural proteins such as pre-membrane proteins, capsid proteins, or overexpression of the envelope protein. So they're morphologically and structurally similar to viruses from which the coat proteins are derived, except for the fact that they don't have the viral genome, which again tricks the body into thinking that it is fighting the HPV virus.
Wow, you guys really know your stuff. All right, keep picking from the board.
Let's do B-cell immunology 100, please.
How do B cells function against pathogens?
They function through the release of antibodies. After B cell activation, clonal expansion chooses for the B cell whose immunoglobulin has the best binding affinity. Antibodies are produced and aid in fighting the infection. After this, the cell undergoes affinity maturation and isotype switching, which ends in the memory formation.
Correct. All right, Big B, your turn to pick from the board.
Let's do B cell immunology 500.
Okay, what are the primary antibodies produced by the vaccine?
The primary antibody is IgG. IgG antibodies are the most effective and functional isotype. They fight pathogens through neutralization and opsonization and complement activation. Opsonization is when pathogens are coated in proteins that facilitate phagocytosis.
Correct. Keep picking from the board.
T cell immunology 500.
All right, L1 VLPs from the vaccine result in what?
This results in T cell proliferation responses and production of both Th1 and Th2 cytokines. While Th1 activates macrophages through the release of INF gamma, Th2 is a CD4 T cell subtype that is part of an alternative macrophage activation through the secretion of IL-4.
That is correct. Keep picking from the board.
Let's do T cell immunology 300.
What do VLPs have?
VLPs have T helper cell epitopes. An epitope is a specific piece of an antigen that is directly bound by a receptor. These viral-like particles enhance T cell activation and are presented by antigen-presenting cells in association with the MHC class II.
That is correct. All right, 2 questions left. Lil T, your turn to pick.
Let's do vaccine basics for 300.
All right, what protein is the capsid made out of?
The capsid is made out of 2 proteins, the L1 and the L2 protein. So the L1 is the major protein while the L2 is the minor. However, L1 is not conserved among all HPV types, so we need the L2 in there with the L1 because that one is highly conserved among all HPV types. And the L2 protein, unlike the L1, cannot form VLPs. So in combination, they work together to help this vaccine.
That is correct. And our final question, vaccine for 400. The L1 and L2 capsid viral proteins are?
These 2 proteins are immunogenic. This means they induce high levels of antibody production, which helps create immunity to the HPV in the human body.
That is correct. All right, those are all our questions we had for the board. Now it's time for Final Jeopardy. All right, now if the contestants would please send me their wagers in the Zoom chat, it's time for Final Jeopardy. All right, our Final Jeopardy question is, when was the HPV vaccine approved by the FDA? All right, Lil T, you were in second place, and you said 2009. Big B, you said 2006. The answer is 2006. Congratulations to Big B. You have won Jeopardy, and we'll see you back here tomorrow. Keep quarantining.